Habits, baby. Habits. Habits make you and they break you, right? What is a habit? A habit's nothing more than a behavior that you've engaged in enough times that it just becomes routine and becomes automatic. Is that fair enough? Now, some habits are tied to physical addictions like nicotine or alcohol or drugs or things like that. But some habits are purely behavioral. Purely behavioral. And sometimes, when we think of habits, we think of the bad ones, right? We think of overeating, we think of smoking, we think of, drinking too much, we think of those kinds of things. But there are other habits that you may not think about that are a little bit more insidious, but they're almost as dangerous to you in your pursuit of success and in your pursuit of acquiring and accomplishing all the things that you want to accomplish in your life, right? Habits like being late. Habits like little white lies, right? How many of us when we were kids, our parents used to go, oh, that was a little white lie. I want you to know something. A lie is a lie, right? Whether it's little and white or giant and black, it doesn't make any difference. A lie is a lie. And just like we tell our children, right, you shouldn't lie, because even if you think it's innocent enough, you'll get into the habit of lying. And then pretty soon you find yourself lying about bigger things and telling bigger lies and telling lies to cover up the lies. And before you know it, it's a great big problem. Right? So maybe that's a habit, right? What are some other habits that are insidious that we really don't think about, right? But that have a huge, profound effect on how we interact with people and the type of success that we may have because of the relationships that we have. How about the habit of not looking at people in the eyeballs when you talk to them? Right? Maybe you have a habit of texting while people are talking to you. Maybe you have a habit of falling asleep in meetings or board meetings. These types of things, they seem silly, but these guys are habits. Now, here's the thing about your habits. If you reap a behavior, if you sow a behavior, you will reap a habit. If you sow a habit, you will reap a character. And if you sow a character, you'll reap a destiny. You see, your habits determine your character. And of course, as we know, your character determines where you go and what you get out of your life. So how do you form new habits? I would attest that as opposed to just breaking a habit, I don't think it's possible, just personally based on my research, the books I've read, the things I've looked at, I don't think it's possible just to break a habit. I don't think you can just say, I'm going to quit smoking. Or you've got to replace that with something else. Now, it's possible to start new habits just out of thin air. For example, for back when I was much, much younger, I worked out a lot. I worked out a lot. Like, I went to the gym 7 days a week, right? And it was like paramount. But then, I got married, started having kids. We got busy with life and business and everything else. Kind of got out of the gym, kind of got out of the habit. I was sedentary for 5 or 6 years. Never went to the gym, never worked out. And I started, now, I'd go on detachment or do something. I might go hit the gym a day or two, but I'm talking like I might have worked out 20 days a year, right? During that time. But then around the middle of last year or so, actually early part of last year, I said, this is stupid. Like, I got to do something. And so I started forcing myself to work out. Well, what's happened is it's become so natural for me now, I feel weird if I don't. In fact, some mornings I'll work out in the morning, but because I normally work out in the evening, I'll work out in the morning and I'll get on the treadmill again at night just because I don't feel right if I don't. Right? See, that's called creating a new habit. But I didn't have to give anything up to do that. I just had to carve out time in my schedule. So I think you can create new habits pretty much out of thin air. But your bad habits, or the habits you want to eliminate, you have to replace with something else. So let's say, for example, you have a bad habit of showing up late. It's just kind of your thing, right? Everybody jokes about it. Oh, Bob always shows up late. Are we ready to start the meeting? Well, give it another 5 minutes. Bob's not going to be here on time. If that's the case for you, then maybe you need to replace that habit with a habit of being the first one there. And you make that your mantra. I'm the first one there. If I'm 30 minutes early, I'm already late, right? Maybe you replace that bad habit with another habit, which is always being the first one there. Or maybe you have a habit of, foul language. Maybe you have terrible language. So you replace that habit of foul language with a habit of using, like, child words like heck and poop and things like that. And you consciously substitute those words. And you make a game of it, right? And then pretty soon you learn to eliminate those words too, because it's the context of the language that'll get you, not the words, right? Or maybe you have a habit of overeating. So what do? You replace that habit of overeating maybe with a walk around the block. So you say, hey, instead of sitting down and gorging myself until I'm super full and feeling really satisfied and flopping down on the couch, I'm going to eat half as much as I normally do, but I'm immediately going to get up and I'm going to go for a walk, because that walk is going to get your blood flowing, it's going to make you feel good, and that's going to give you a satisfying feeling, so then you can flop down on the couch and watch TV. My point is simply this. Your habits are what create your character. The folks around you will know you by your regular, repeated, recognizable behaviors. And your regular, repeated, recognizable behaviors are your habits. But to others around you, they're not just your habits, they're your character. You see, if you have a habit of not looking people in the eye, telling people little white lies, and always being late, those things in and of themselves as individual things may not be a problem. However, combined and in the perception of someone else, to someone else you might be a person with low integrity. And maybe you feel you are, maybe you feel you're not, but to someone else you may appear to be because of those habits. Does this make sense? So your habits will reap your character will reap your destiny. My recommendation, begin working on your habits now. Identify what habits are serving you, like working out, or always spending 30 minutes with your kids right when you come home from work, or, any number of things. We all have great habits. Every one of us has good habits, and we all have bad habits. Isolate your good habits. Recognize them. Praise yourself for them. I'm going to keep doing that, right? And then isolate the bad ones and say, what can I do to replace these habits? And then if there's some behaviors that you want to instill in your life, like working out or eating more healthily or going to church on Sunday, if that's your thing, right? If there's some things you want to put into your life, well, then guess what? You just do that the old-fashioned way. You just do that through sheer willpower. You just say, I'm just going to do that until it becomes normal. Inserting habits is much, much easier than getting out of habits. And you say that habits are like a warm bed. They're easy to get into and hard to get out of. So form good ones consciously and then work hard to eliminate the bad ones, and you'll watch your whole life change. Guys, go out there, make it a great day.